You heard it before you saw it, that low diesel growl coming down the block, the squeal of the brakes, the folding door slapping open. And you climbed up those tall steps into a world your parents knew nothing about. Cracked green seats, windows that never quite shut, gum under the bench older than you were, and 30 of your neighbors packed into one long yellow box twice a day. The bus was not just how you got to school, it was a whole society with its own laws, its own hierarchy, and its own king in the back. And the one person on that bus who got you there and home safe every single day, who you never once thanked, is number 1 on this list. We all rode it. That yellow bus, the same one, on 1,000 routes, hauling the whole neighborhood's kids down the same streets every morning. You were not unusual. Every one of us learned more on that bus than we did in half our classes: how to hold a seat, how to take a joke, how to walk that aisle past the big kids without flinching. It was loud, and it was free, and it was ours. The Carline kids never knew what they missed. And the older you get, the more you realize that bus was one of the last places the whole neighborhood rode together. Number 20 is something you did to a cold bus window every single winter morning. Number 13 is the one seat on the whole bus that nobody wanted, and you know exactly which one it was. And number 2 is the thing that turned a school bus into a family reunion twice a day, something no kid who gets driven to school will ever understand. These 25 things were never just a ride. They were a rolling neighborhood, a daily gathering of every kid you knew, run by one grown person who got you there and back. Every one of them, you remember. Hit that subscribe button, and let's count down 25 things only black kids who rode the bus to school will remember. Number 25, the green vinyl seats, cracked, sticky, and stuffed with foam that was always coming out of a rip somewhere. They stuck to the backs of your legs in the summer and froze you through in the winter. You picked at the rip until the foam came out. 3 kids to a seat, and somebody always got the edge with half a cheek hanging off. For the boy, that torn green seat was simply what a bus felt like, and he never thought twice about it. Those cracked vinyl benches are one of the most remembered things about the whole ride. It was not just a seat, it was the front row seat to a whole daily world. Number 24, saving a seat. The most valuable real estate in your life for 30 minutes a day. You threw your book bag down to hold a spot for your best friend, and you defended it with your life. Is this seat taken? Yeah. A jacket, a leg across the aisle, a hard look. You held that seat down until your people got on. That seat was loyalty made visible every single morning. Holding a seat for your friend was a daily act of allegiance on every bus in America. It was not just a seat. It was you telling the whole bus who your people were. Number 23, the back of the bus. The back was the throne, and everybody knew it. The loudest kids, the coolest kids, the tallest tales, all in the last 3 rows. You had to earn your way back there, and walking that aisle to claim a spot was a rite of passage. On this bus, the back was where you wanted to be, and we made it the best seat in the house. For the boy, the first day he got to sit in the back was the day he arrived. The back of the bus was the social summit, ruled by whoever was boldest. It was not just the back, it was the throne room of the whole Yellow Kingdom. Number 22, the bumps that launched you. The driver hit a big bump, and the whole back of the bus went airborne. Butts left the seat, heads tapped the ceiling, and somebody's arms went flying. The bigger the bump, the louder the whole bus screamed. You begged the driver to go faster over the railroad tracks, and sometimes she did. For the boy, catching air off a good bump was better than any roller coaster he could name. Going fast over bumps in the back is a memory every bus kid shares. It was not just a bump, it was a free amusement park ride twice a day. Number 21. Dropping the window. The windows had two latches, and getting one down was a two-hand operation. You pinched both latches at once and shoved the window down, and the wind and the noise came roaring in. Whoever controlled the window controlled the weather, which meant war with whoever had just done their hair. That window was power, and everybody fought over it. The rattling drop-down windows are burned into every rider's memory. It was not just a window, it was the one bit of the bus a kid got to control. Number 20. The frost on the window. Here is what you did every cold morning. You wrote your name in it. The inside of the window fogged and froze, and you drew in it with your finger your name, a face, a message for the car behind you. Your breath made clouds. You wiped a circle clear to see your stop coming. For the boy, that foggy window was a blank page he got every single winter morning. Writing on the fogged-up glass was a universal cold-weather bus ritual. It was not just frost, it was a kid leaving his mark on the morning. Number 19. The smell of the bus. You would know it anywhere. Diesel, old vinyl, and whatever they cleaned it with. That exact mix hit you the second the door opened, especially the first week back after summer. It got in your clothes. Decades later, one whiff of a bus, and you are 8 years old again. For the boy, that smell simply meant it was a school day. The diesel and vinyl bus smell is one of the most powerful memory triggers a rider has. It was not just a smell, it was the smell of every morning of your childhood. Today, a whole lot of kids get driven to school one at a time, alone in the back seat, staring at a screen, dropped at the door by a parent who never turns the car off. Quiet, safe, solo. Now think about that bus. 30, 40 kids from the same few blocks packed together, loud, unsupervised, working out every social lesson there is on the ride to school and back. We call the car door-to-door service an upgrade, but look what got traded. The crew, the jokes, the pecking order you had to learn, the daily half hour where the whole neighborhood's kids were one rolling family. We did not just change how a kid gets to school, we took away the last place they all rode together and handed each of them a screen and a silent seat instead. Number 18. Finding your bus in the lot. A sea of identical yellow buses, and you had about 10 seconds to find yours. You knew your bus by its number, and you learned to spot it in a lineup of 20 that all looked exactly the same. Get on the wrong one and you ended up in a neighborhood you had never seen. You did not make that mistake twice. For the boy, finding his number in that yellow sea was the last test of every single school day. Every rider learned their bus number the way they learned their own name. It was not just a number, it was the difference between home and lost. Number 17. Sit down back there. The driver had a giant mirror, and she saw everything. That long mirror over the windshield caught the whole bus, and the second you stood up or got too loud, you heard it. Sit down. She could drive, watch the road, and lock eyes with you in the back all at once. You sat down. For the boy, getting caught in that mirror felt like getting caught by his own mother. The overhead mirror gave the driver eyes in the back of her head, and every kid knew it. It was not just a mirror, it was the all-seeing eye of the whole bus. Number 16, cracking on each other. The bus was where you learned to take a joke and throw one back. Somebody started in on your shoes, your haircut, your mama, and the whole bus went, ooh, and now it was on. You either had a comeback or you had a long ride. It was mean and it was hilarious and it made everybody sharp. For the boy, learning to hold his own in that back and forth was an education no class ever gave him. Trading jokes and snaps was the main event. Wit sharpened daily on that bus. It was not just teasing, it was a whole art form, and the bus was the arena. Number 15, the bus, songs and chants. Give a busload of kids a beat, and they will make a whole show out of it. The chants, the hand claps, the made-up songs that got louder and rowdier until the driver hollered. Everybody knew the words. Somebody kept the beat on the back of a seat, and the whole bus came in on time. For the boy, being part of that rolling noise was one of the best feelings of the day. Bus chants and hand games were passed down rider to rider, older than any kid singing them. It was not just noise, it was a whole bus becoming one loud, happy thing. Number 14, the emergency door in the back. A big door with a warning sign that every kid was dying to open. Emergency exit only. Alarm will sound. You stared at that handle for years, daring each other, absolutely certain that pulling it meant jail. Nobody ever did it, but everybody thought about it every single day. For the boy, that forbidden door was the most tempting thing on the whole bus. The back emergency door was a legend, a rule nobody was brave enough to break. It was not just a door, it was the one dare nobody ever took. Number 13, the hump seat. Here is the seat nobody wanted, the one over the back wheel with your knees up to your chest. The floor was raised, so you rode with your knees jammed up and your feet on a hump, and everybody else was glad it was you and not them. Last one on got stuck with it. You spent the whole ride plotting a better seat. For the boy, getting stuck on the hump was the small daily tragedy of running late. That wheel-well hump seat was the universally dreaded spot on every bus. It was not just a bad seat, it was the price you paid for missing the good ones. Here is what you did not understand while you were living it. That bus was one of the only places in your whole day where no adult was really running things. Not your parents, not your teachers, just a driver up front with her eyes on the road and 30 kids in the back left to figure each other out. And you did. You learned who to sit with and who to avoid, how to stand up for yourself and when to let a joke go, how to walk into a loud room and find your place in it. Nobody taught you any of that. The bus did. It was a daily half hour of running your own little society, and it made you sharper and tougher and more yourself than any lesson you sat through after you got off it. You thought it was just a ride to school. It was one of the realest classrooms you ever had. Number 12, winter on the bus. In the cold months, that metal box was freezing, and you could see your own breath. You sat there shivering in your coat, breathing clouds, waiting on a heater that only warmed the first 3 rows. Your fingers went numb, and then you found the one spot where the floor heater blew, and you fought to sit over it and roasted your legs instead. For the boy, that cold morning ride was the price of a warm classroom at the end of it. The unheated back of the bus in winter is a shared misery every rider remembers. It was not just cold, it was 30 kids bundled up, breathing fog, riding it out together. Number 11. A fight on the bus. When it kicked off, the whole bus knew in 1 second. The ooh went up. Everybody stood on the seats to see, and the driver stood on the brakes and came marching back. It was over fast, but the story lasted a week. Everybody had a version by the next morning. For the boy, the electricity of the whole bus turning at once was something he never forgot. A bus fight was front-page news, relived and retold for days. It was not just a fight. It was the whole bus, alive, all looking the same direction. Number 10. Doing homework on the way. The bus was the last chance library, and everybody used it. You did the homework you forgot, bouncing along, trying to write on a moving bus. You copied off the smart kid who gave you 3 minutes of mercy. You crammed for a test with the pages flapping in the wind from the window. For the boy, that bumpy ride was where a lot of homework got done and a lot got copied. Last-minute bus homework saved more grades than anybody will ever admit. It was not just a ride, it was a rolling study hall for the desperate. Number 9. Standing up before your stop. The second the bus slowed for your corner, you were already up and moving. You knew your stop by heart, and you were out of that seat and halfway up the aisle before it stopped, riding the slowdown like a surfer, hand to hand, down the seatbacks. The driver told you to stay seated. You never did. For the boy, that walk up the aisle to his own stop meant he was almost home. Standing before the stop was against the rules and done by everybody. It was not just getting off. It was a kid who knew exactly where he belonged. Number 8. Running for the bus. The worst sound in the world was that bus pulling off without you. You woke up late, you flew out the door with one shoe half on, and you ran down the block, screaming while it sat there with the door closing. Sometimes the driver saw you and waited. Sometimes she pulled off, and you had the worst morning of your life. For the boy, catching that bus by 2 seconds was a victory, and missing it was a disaster. The mad dash for the bus is a panic every rider felt in their chest. It was not just running. It was a kid learning the whole world does not wait. Number 7. The long ride. If you were first on or last off, you knew that bus better than your own house. You rode the entire route, watching every other kid get picked up or dropped off, the ride stretching 45 minutes each way. You saw parts of the neighborhood nobody else did. You had a lot of time to think on that bus. For the boy, that long ride was a quiet stretch that belonged only to him. The kids at the ends of the route logged more bus hours than anyone. It was not just a ride. It was a long, rolling window on the whole neighborhood. Here is the part of his story we have been circling. Years later, grown, the boy was driving his own child to school. One kid, alone in the back, quiet, and it hit him how much that yellow bus had actually been. He remembered the whole crew, the cracked green seats, the jokes, the frost on the window, the walk to the back. But most of all, he remembered her, the driver, the same woman for years, who knew his name and his mother's name and every kid stopped by heart, who got a whole neighborhood of children to school and home again, twice a day, in the rain and the snow and the dark, and who nobody, not once, ever thought to thank. She was as much a part of the village as anybody, and he had never even told her goodbye. And the biggest piece of it is still coming. It is number 1. Number 6, falling asleep on the way home. The morning bus was chaos. The ride home, worn out, You could barely keep your eyes open. Full day behind you, the sun warm through the window, the engine humming, and your head bobbing against the glass. A friend elbowed you awake at your stop. You stumbled off half asleep and walked the last block in a fog. For the boy, that drowsy ride home was the safest kind of tired a kid can be. Nodding off on the ride home was the peaceful bookend to a loud morning. It was not just being sleepy, it was a kid worn out from a whole day of being young. Number 5. The bus stop in the morning. Before the bus ever came, there was the corner and your whole crew waiting on it. You stood there in the cold with the same kids every day, book bags down, breath fogging, watching for that yellow nose to come around the corner. Your mama watched from the window until you got on. The corner was its own little club. For the boy, that morning corner with his crew was where the day really started. The bus stop was a daily gathering, a neighborhood corner all its own. It was not just waiting, it was the whole block's kids meeting up before the world opened. Number 4, the friends. You only had on the bus. There were kids you were close with who you only ever saw on that route. Different grade, different classes, but on that bus you were tight. A whole friendship that lived in one green seat, 30 minutes at a time. When the routes changed or somebody moved, you never saw them again. You still wonder about them. For the boy, those bus friends were real friends, even if the bus was the only place they existed. Route friendships were a whole category of their own, deep and strangely temporary. It was not just bus buddies, it was people you loved who lived only on that ride. Number 3, the last day of school. The final ride of the year was pure, glorious anarchy. Papers flying out the windows, everybody screaming, the whole year's homework dumped on the floor, the driver too worn out to fight it. Summer was 2 minutes away and the whole bus knew it. You got off that bus into 3 months of freedom. For the boy, that last chaotic ride was the doorway to the best part of the whole year. The last day of school bus ride was a tradition of joyful mayhem. It was not just a ride, it was the whole bus exploding into summer. Number 2, your whole neighborhood on one bus. Here is the thing a car kid will never understand. That bus was everybody. The kids from your block, the block over, the whole route, packed into one long yellow box, together twice a day, every day, for years. You grew up with those faces. You knew who lived where and whose brother was whose. It was the closest thing to a family reunion a Tuesday ever had. For the boy, that bus was the one place the whole neighborhood's kids were together at once. The bus gathered a whole community's children daily, the last of the village on wheels. It was not just a busload. It was your entire neighborhood rolling to school together. Number 1, the bus driver who got you there. That is it. The plainest thing on the whole list, and the one that holds all the others. There was a grown person up front, often the same one for years, who knew every kid's name and every kid's stop and half the mothers on the route. She got a whole neighborhood of children to school and back home safe, twice a day, in the rain, the snow, the dark, and the heat, and she broke up the fights and dried the tears and put up with all of it. That boy we started with rode her bus 1,000 times, and every single thing on this list, the seats, the jokes, the back of the bus, the whole rolling neighborhood, happened because one person showed up before dawn and drove it, and never once got a thank you for it. She was as much a part of the village as anybody who ever raised us. Most of us never learned her whole name. None of us ever told her what she meant. It was not just a bus driver, it was a grown person who carried the whole neighborhood's children on her back every day and asked for nothing. That is the thing about that yellow bus. It was never really about the ride. It was about 30 kids from the same few blocks, growing up together in a rolling box, learning each other and themselves, held safe the whole time by one steady grown person up front. Kids get driven now, one at a time, quiet and alone, and they are safer for it, and they will never know what we knew, what it felt like to belong to a whole busload of your own people twice a day. If you rode that bus, you were part of something, and if that driver is still out there somewhere, she deserves to know that the kids in the back never forgot her. We remember the seats and the jokes and the frost on the window, but most of all, we remember getting home safe every single day because of her.